The conundrum of child rearing, or rather the joy, frustration, paradox, whatever you want to say. So, we all know that as parents, we can make a huge difference in our kids' lives. But the kicker is that it may not matter. As in, some kids turn out fine regardless of what you do. And I would hope it's not the same, but maybe the opposite. So for the first part, I'm pretty sure about. So, some kids work hard. Their parents could be slackers. Their parents. I mean, let's take it a step back. Just think about it. Some kids are really smart, but their parents are not smart. How does that work? Some kids are really, really pretty, and their parents are not so good looking. I mean, the genes, but I don't know what happened, right? And personality, even more, right? It doesn't directly get inherited by genes, anyways. And the thing is, we met some kids recently, and I'm presuming their family environment is not the greatest. Parents are divorced, blah, 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 right? But the youngest girl is really, really sweet, considerate, caring, kind, right? How does that work? Was it trained that way by her parents? I'm gonna say no, right? Her sister's not that way. And if you think about it, we all know examples where kids turn out differently. I was thinking about, this whole idea of making a difference. It's like, say your kid is naturally good at school. You push them this or that. Does it really make a difference? Your kid's just good at school. What you do doesn't matter, really. I mean, it matters in the same way that, like, if I jump up and down, I sort of affect the rotation of the Earth. I mean, if you calculate it out, it's there. It exists. It's insignificant. Probably most calculators, computers can't even measure out to that number. But theoretically, it does, right? And I think that's the same way for parenting. For some kids, they're going to be a certain person, and it doesn't really matter what you do. And we all know kids who go through horrible environments, and they turn out fine. They're in a minority, I give you that, but somehow they're fine. And it's not the parents that made them fine. In fact, the parents, if their influence meant anything, should have meant the kid wasn't going to be fine, but the kid turned out to be fine, right? How is that? It doesn't make any sense, right? But it does. And here's the thing. We treat kids the same. That's what parenting books tell us to do. We treat kids the same. Fairness. We have principles. But kids need to be treated differently because they're different. There's different ways to approach them. They have different personalities, different likes, dislikes, aptitudes, etc. And I think that's one thing with parenting that we don't think about, right? So, I mean, with people, right? I'm not saying everybody does this, but there are certain people you can't change, and there's certain people you can change. Try to put your effort into people you can change, right? To be more specific, there are certain aspects of people that you can't change, certain aspects you can change. Probably should work on aspects you can change, not the ones you cannot change. And with kids, I think they're people, right? It's the same thing. There's probably some aspects that you can change, some aspects you can't. And there's different ways of approaching them. But do parents work on that? I mean, I think at this age, for my daughter, she's like a little bit over 1, it's a moot point, right? But at least by the time they're 4 or 5, they have personalities. They have likes, dislikes, they have a certain way of doing things. Why don't parents learn how to work with them? I think that's a problem. On the one hand, you put a lot of effort. On the other hand, this effort is not going to be rewarded because you're not going to do it more than a few times. Talking about learning how to raise kids, right? If you think about it, at work, if it's something that you do once in a blue moon, happens once every 5 years, literally, why would you put much effort in it? Whatever. But if something you do every day, you just learn it automatically, right? We're going through residency. A lot of numbers I didn't remember in medical school, but now I just remember them because you use it every day. It's faster just to memorize these ranges of normal for all these tests. And that's the thing with child rearing. How much effort do you spend on figuring out your kid? On tailoring your strategy to your kid? On coming up with a completely new way of dealing with kid number 2 versus kid number 1? Throwing away all the time you invested in learning about how to deal with kids and starting anew, and then doing it again for number 3, knowing that after number 3 there's going to be no more. All this information is going to go to waste, right? And is it going to be useful? Potentially it could be. Other people could ask you about it, but more often than not, probably not, right? And that's the thing. As a parents, we may make a world of difference, and we also may not. And I don't think it's specific to a kid in the sense that some kids are not influenced at all. They are. It's just, are you influencing them in things that they can't be influenced in? And do you know how to do that? I mean, talking to somebody about this idea of kids taking up a lot of energy, and it's like they take up all your energy and then more. I still cannot accept that you just try your best. You gotta try your best and more, right? If you're the type of person who never gives up on yourself, which many of us are, just because you tried your best and didn't succeed doesn't mean you give up. You do something else, you do more. Shouldn't it be the same with our kids?